Well, hello again, it's Trudy here from HotPatterns with another fabulous piece that we've done for you. And this one's really a tutorial, a real kind of all the way through the garment tutorial. And it's for this garment. This is our Fast and Fabulous 4 Seasons kimono jacket. It's in the Fast and Fabulous collection because, well, it kind of does what it says on the envelope. It's fast, kind of fabulous. And we called it 4 Seasons because when we were trying to name it, I was saying to Jeremy, well, what should we call it? And he said, well, when would you wear it? I went, well, you know, all the time. He said, well, obviously 4 Seasons, so clearly a very aptly named piece indeed. Now, the nice thing about this is, well, there's really 2 things about it. One is that it's very, very simple to construct. You will see me constructing it, in fact, this one, when you watch the rest of this clip. But the other one is that you can make it in almost any fabric, and depending on your fabric choice, it's actually suitable for wear the whole year round. If you were to do this in a lightweight voile or a lace or something, you could wear it in the summer. Obviously you'd wear it with the cami underneath because we don't want any indecency problems there. You could make it in denim, you can make it in leather, real or faux leather or suede. You could make it in brocade. I mean, this is a slightly stretchy cotton sateen. You can make it in almost anything. The key is to understand that if it's a drapey one, it's going to drape. If it's a stiffer one, it's going to be stiffer. But you could think of it as a jacket, blouse, top kind of thing. Anyway, it's really, really fabulous. You're going to love it. It looks great on everybody, by the way. It's one of those things that kind of suits everyone. And lucky, lucky you, later on in my tutorial, we are joined by my assistant Sienna, so you'll see what HotPatterns baby Sienna looks like because she's going to be helping me. So I hope you enjoy and I hope it's useful for you. Well, I thought before we actually started doing all the bits and pieces, I'd quickly give you a design analysis for this, just so you see how simple it is. You've really got on this front darts, back darts, patch pockets, belt and the edging. So that's it, apart from normal seaming, that's it. Really not too many things to concern yourself with. So I thought I'd just go through with you the whole dart issue, because that's the first thing you're going to have to do. Now, a dart is basically usually this shape. It's usually a triangular shape, and a dart's job is to take a 2-dimensional item, namely your fabric, and reduce the area in certain places to make it fit a 3-dimensional item, namely your body. So they're normally this shape, and they normally kind of pinch the fabric in various places. The darts on this one are actually a double dart, and a double dart would normally be this shape, like a diamond. And these are really easy to mark off. You've got 4 points on the diamond, top, bottom, side, side. You just put 4 dots on the rear of your fabric. If you want to, you can draw a line between them, fold it in half and sew along your line. It's actually not that hard. But of course, we just like to mix things up a little bit and say that this one is a double dart, but it's what we call a double fisheye dart, which means it's like this. So if you compare the two, you can see there's quite a difference in shape. This is pointy, this is rounded. So it's a bit like an elongated shallot. So the best way I've found to be marking a dart like this is to trace off your dart from your pattern and to mark out the top and bottom dots of the dart on your garment and then just plop it down and trace it round. That's going to give you a nice accurate dart, and it's much, much easier than trying to kind of put a load of pin lines around here because it's a curve and it doesn't really like to do that. So that's the first thing for you to do, is to do your darts, and they're easy to mark out and they're very, very easy to do. So now we're going to do the darts, and you've seen how we've marked the darts, and this is how you kind of find out how to kind of fold your darts and pin them into place. Here is what you do. Pick up your dart, find one point, find the other point, snap it in half like that. And you're going to pin it, start at the bottom or the top, and pin it along like that. And this is what it will look like when you've got it pinned. Can you see that, Jeremy? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to pin it like that, and you'll see it goes all the way through to the other side. Nice, nice. So you start your dart, and normally when you're doing a dart, it starts from the fat end and goes to the thin end. And that's what I did actually on these darts. I started at the fat end, the middle of it, went down to the narrow end, and then I started again here and went down here. And this is what your dart will look like when you've done it. Okay, I'm not even sure if you can see the stitching there, but it's gone all the way along the white line. Now, if I just flip this over, you will see this is the dart unpressed, and it's kind of unimpressive as well. But it's fine because when you press it, you're going to press it towards the side seam this way. It gets a nice crisp edge here, and when you put it on here, it almost kind of disappears, but you can see it shapes the body piece like that. That's how you do your darts. Okay, here is our pocket, and here is how I like to prepare them. And you'll see that it's basically a rectangle, kind of a normal shape for a pocket. Here's what you're going to do. Turn the top edge of it back on itself. There's a little notch at each side. I don't think you can see it, but I can. I'm going to pin it on each side. Where's my notch? There's my notch. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom edge here. And we've got a 5/8 inch turning, so you either measure it or you eyeball it. It's really what you want to do, how you're more comfortable. And then we are going to do a little stitch. I'm going to stitch here and I'm going to stitch here. When I clip the corners and I turn it out, you will see that all the sides here have no choice but to pull themselves in and give you a beautiful, crisp, rectangular pocket. So this is the pocket that I've sewn, and you can see I've turned the top on it back on itself and I've sewn down here, and I've done the same to the bottom edge and I've sewn up there. I've clipped the corners off, and what you're going to see is when it turns out, it kind of pulls the other seam, the other folded edge, in on itself like this. I'm going to show you a pressed one in a moment so you actually see. But it kind of pulls it in there. It has no choice but to all fold in. It's a really sneaky and good trick to know, and it will give you a very good result. Here is what I mean. So that's what you get on the end. Everything is all kind of tucked in and nice and neat, and you get a nice rectangular pocket. And so for this part of our filming, we are joined by my assistant, Sienna. Could you say hello?
Hello.
Okay, Sienna is 6, and today she's dressed as a
Witch.
As a witch. Why is that?
Because I can.
Because she can. Good enough reason. What could possibly go wrong? I hear you cry. So Sienna's going to be my assistant. She's going to hand me things. So now on our kimono jacket, we've got our fronts kind of prepared apart from the pockets. Could you please hand me a pocket? Oh, the pair of pockets. Thank you very much. That's lovely. That's the one that's pressed, and that's the one that's not pressed, but we'll just use that for the heck of it, yes? Okay, so I'm going to do this. Have you got all of this in, Jeremy?
Yeah.
You can see everything? Okay, great. So on your pattern, you will find markings where your pocket position should be. Of course, I forgot to put them on. What the heck? The important thing is that they match up. That's really key. And you're going to put these on now before you put facings on or you join anything else. So you're going to put them on. They go approximately, I'm going to say around about here. Very highly technical, I don't think. You're going to put them on and you're going to pin them, of course, around your 3 edges and just top stitch them on. You must do that before you proceed, because if you do it afterwards, it's just going to be a lot harder. It doesn't need to be. What do you think? Think it's looking good so far? Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Let's go on to the next part, yes? Yes, thank you. Okay, so now we have, obviously with the help of my assistant, Sienna, we have put the pockets onto the front. Let me just show you how they look. Rather lovely. Nice little patch pockets. Now, this is now the kind of easy bit, but it has to be done this way. We now have to put the binding onto the cut edges, and you need to do it in a certain order. You can, of course, ignore me. You can just do it the order you want to do it, but then you're going to have problems, and you've got to also have a thing we like to call seam build-up, where you're going to get great big clumps of bound seams at the edges, and that's not going to look good. So here's what you're going to do. On your fronts, you're going to do just the overarm seam like this, and the same on the backs, but the backs you're also going to do the centre back seams. That's all you're going to bind, and then you're going to join the fronts to the backs and the backs down the centre back seam. When I've gone off and done that, I'll come back and show you exactly what I mean. It'll still be laid out flat, kind of cruciform style, and my assistant will still be singing to the box of pins, which will be lovely. So I'm going to show you very quickly how to apply bias binding when you want to bind an edge like this. You have your right side facing upwards. This is the right side. Bear in mind this is the facing, so the interfacing is on the back. Right side upwards, and you put the right side of your binding towards the right side of the fabric. So right sides to right sides as normal. Put the edge of your binding up against the edge of your fabric, and you can't see this but I can, but along here I've got a little fold line. That's the fold line of my bias, and I'm going to stitch along that line. And the reason I'm going to do that, well, I'll show you when I've done it. Let me do this all the way around. Let me just do a quick burst so you can see it. Oh, by the way, I always start with a few inches of binding tailing off so I can pull it through if I need to. Now hold on a second. I think, can you see that, Jeremy?
Yeah, as much as good as we can. I'm just going to come slightly more on.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so I've sewn it there along the fold line of my bias. Now I continue to do that all the way around, and I'm going to show you the tricky bit, which is how you turn it round and where you stitch to seal it off. Okay, you can see here I've sewn in one folded edge of my binding. That's that there. And this edge here of the fabric, that's going to be pretty much where your finished edge is going to be. If I fold this binding under, unfortunately this one doesn't stay where you put it because it is kind of polyestery. And I'm going to fold it back on itself like that. That's the kind of finish you're going to get when you finish sewing it. Now you've got a choice. You can either stitch on the top edge here, or you can stitch on the back edge there. It's really up to you. I'm going to do it, I think, on the top edge because I want to make sure I don't see any stitching. But I'm going to do a little bit of that and show you what it looks like, and then you can see exactly what all the binding will look like inside this jacket. Alright, so I'm sewing the binding down. I'm actually going from the back, and I'm going to show you quickly. It just goes along the edge like this, and then if I show you how it looks when it's done, let me move all this out of the way. Okay, you can see it's stitched on that end, and on this you don't see the stitching, okay, because you need to see, when you're doing a bound edge like this, the right side of the fabric is the pretty side. That's the pretty side of the binding as well, because when you do a seam and you press it open, it'll be like that, you'll see the pretty side. So that's how you bind the edges. Really easy to do, you just got to slow down and take your time as always, and when it's done it'll look fantastic. So now we've done some binding on our seam ends, and of course we've only done the centre back seam edges and the overarm seam edges, and Sienna is now going to point out to you which one is which. So we have done the overarm seam, the centre back seam, and of course the other overarm seam. Thank you so much. Very good assisting today. So these are the ones that are joined now, and you join those ones first. Don't be tempted to go rushing off and just bind all the edges of all the things like that, because when it comes down to it, you will get big clumps of binding on things like this. You don't want that, you really don't. So now you've done this, you are going to bind your side seams all the way down there. Which ones do you want to do? Side seams? Can you show me? All the way down there? Way down there, fantastic. So all the way down the side seams from the bottom all the way to the other bottom, and then once you've done that, you're going to do the hems across. Now when you get to the corners, the corner pieces, do not be alarmed and do not try and make it all pretty and lovely. It doesn't matter, it's all going to be hidden away, it's going to be tucked away in the seam allowance. So as long as it just finishes kind of, you know, cleanly and okay, you don't have to fold all the edges in and make it gorgeous. So side seams next, and then hems, and then we're ready to really kind of just put it all together and complete it. But obviously before we do that, we put the facing on, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so now we're at the stage where we are literally almost done. There's a couple of things to do to complete it, and it's kind of done. They're very, very simple things. What you're going to do is, because now you've bound all your edges, you're going to add your facing, and your facing, obviously I've bound the edge on that. And your facing you're going to add in one kind of hit all the way around. I'm going to show you the hem area in a moment, because that's going to make it all kind of come clear. So very simply, round the neckline, down the centre front, and across the bottom like this. Now, remember when we did the pockets and we kind of folded one end down and one end up and we sealed it? You're going to do the same thing on that hem there. Okay, you're going to fold that up 5/8 of an inch. It's all 5/8 of an inch. So when you sew down your facing, you're going to go across like that, and on this bit you're just going to go seal it up and down like that. When you see the diagrams on the pattern, you'll go, oh God, that of course. But I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to show you it really close up so you can see what I mean. Because what happens is, of course, when you clip the corners here and you turn it out, again, the hems have no choice but to just flip in and do what you want them to do. So you're going to do that on the front, and do the same thing on the back as well. You're going to do that, and then we're going to show you the last thing, which is basically just join the side seams, et voila. Is my assistant acting up? She's wearing sparkly pink glitter hairspray because clearly she is 6 and that's how she rolls. So, do you have anything to say? Anything at all?
It's very sparkly.
It is very sparkly. Fantastic.
Witch.
Okay, so we're at the choice of the penultimate part. Sienna has called action on our filming, so we can clearly start. We've put the facing on. Can you please show the facing? Lovely, thank you. That is the facing, and obviously flipped it out. Now I'm going to show you the bit I told you about earlier, which is when you seal up the sides, your hem has no choice but to kind of flip into position. But you're not going to stitch it into position just yet. What you have to do is you have to do the side seams. The side seams are really small. I put a pin in here, and a pin there. That's the length of your side seams. That's what you have to do. And you do those before you go ahead and hem your sleeve, your armhole opening. Can you show the armhole opening, please? Thank you very much. And obviously we'll have your side slit opening there. So here's what we're going to do. Side seams, and then I'm going to hem it, and then I'm just going to put the belt on and we're done. Okay, so I thought before I actually finished it off and did the hems, I'd show you how it works around the armhole, the sleeve edge, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to get Jeremy to zoom in a moment, but first I'm just going to quickly show you how I'm going to complete this whole hem. It's going to be done in one big hit all the way around the neckline and all the way around the bottom. So you've got your facing there on the inside, and our instructions say to you to do a 1 inch deep top stitching along here. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but it's part of the design. If you don't do that though, you will have to catch this down somewhere, probably at the shoulder seams and the centre back, otherwise your face is going to flap all over the place when you wear it, which will not be fun, let me tell you. So I'm going to start at the centre back. I'm going to do an inch, I'm going to do an inch top stitching all the way around the front neck, all down the centre front, and I'm going to change to 5/8 of an inch. Along the bottom hem, up the side seams, down the side seams, and around the bottom, and just keep going in that way all till it's finished. And I'm just going to get Jeremy to zoom in now and show you the arm. Can you show us the armhole, Sienna? Can you show us which bit? That bit there? Very good, thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to... Jeremy will let me know when he's in close enough. Can we see all that?
Yeah, we're good, we're good.
Okay, this is the base of the armhole. You'll see the seam allowance is just flipped back like this. So when you sew it, you're going to start here at the seam, you go across, up, all the way down, and then across again, 5/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. Easiest thing in the world. What do you think, Sienna? Okay, fantastic. Okay, this is our belt strip. You can see I've got a seam through the centre back here. The pattern doesn't allow for it, but of course you can always do that if you wish. I did that because I didn't have enough fabric to cut it without a seam. What you're going to do is this. Here's your edges. Right sides together. You're going to sew along your short edge, all the way along your long edge, all the way here. And when you get to this part here, the middle, you're going to leave a gap around about 6 to 8 inches-ish. It's not, you know, it's not fixed. You're going to leave that gap. When you've sewn it, you're then going to press your seam allowances back, including along that gap. You're going to clip your corners and turn it out, and then you will find that when you edge stitch all the way around here, that the gap here will be closed. Okay, well according to Sienna it's and action, so this is it, this is the completed jacket. As you can see, it's kind of just very gently kind of pulled together with the belt. It's a really nice simple piece, and of course you can wear it as a jacket or as kind of a blouse, kind of top layer shruggy type thing. Don't forget the insides are all looking pretty, ooh, binding and lovely, which means that it looks as nice on the inside as it does on the outside. So that's it. I hope it's been really useful for you. Don't forget, if you are a beginner or a newer sewer, this is a fantastic piece for you to work on because it's really, really simple. You've just got to take your time, make sure it's all done well. So I guess I need to thank my assistant Sienna, yes, jazz hands from Sienna, and say thank you very much for watching.